All right, all right, all right. Welcome to Star Enlightenment Channel. Excuse my washer on. You can probably hear the water. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to make sure this is in. I'm gonna try to talk a little bit close to the camera. So I'm not necessarily here for a very long video. I'm just here to break down something that I realized, and you can tell by the title. I'm talking about California, aka the Pacific, versus Florida, the Atlantic. Now I am talking about the Pacific and Atlantic as a whole too, but I'm sorry. I am specifically talking about these two regions for a reason because I noticed how they are so opposite, yet similar but like opposite in every way, right? So I thought this was cool. So check it out. So California, Florida, right? So one thing about California is what it typically has a dry climate. Now all throughout California it varies. You see what I'm saying? It varies. I know the Bay Area has a little bit more humid in general, a little bit more humid than let's say like Los Angeles, San Diego area. But I was saying in general, California in general kind of resonates more so like what on the drier climate side, as a whole compared to Florida, right? Florida is more humid as in general. Same thing with Florida. There's some difference, like Tallahassee, or let's say like the northern part of Florida, may not be as humid as let's say the South Florida, Miami, Lauderdale, Broward County, Palm Beach County. You know what I'm saying? But in general, Florida in general is more of a humid state, right? So that's one thing. California dry, Florida humid. Another thing I noticed is the terrain. Florida's terrain is more flatland. Now, like I said, as you go up northern Florida, it can slightly differ, but for the most part, Florida as a whole, in totality, in general, is mainly like a flat terrain. It's more flatland. Whereas California, in general, is more of like a mountainous, more like hilly type place. But it varies too. You know what I'm saying? But in general, you'll find you really Florida don't really have no mountains at all. So that's night and day. Whatever you want to say, that's night and day. California has way more mountains in general. Florida don't even really have none at all. Um, California is way much more hilly and is more of a mountainous region than Florida. You see what I'm saying? Florida's more flat. Okay, so another thing, right? When we talk about the beaches, California beaches, right? And the whole point I'm breaking this down is because I'm noticing how opposite they are. Similar but opposite. Everything's like opposite, yin and yang. California beaches, right? The Pacific Ocean. Um, I heard that basically you can go only so far out before there's like a dip or before you meet the continental shelf. AKA, that basically was telling me that I think it was the California's or the Pacific Coast continental shelf is a lot more shorter. Before, like you go out there, it's a lot more shorter before you reach that big dip, that drop when you go in the water, as opposed to Florida is a lot more spread out. Like their continental shelf drip is a lot of more further out and more spaced out, which I believe because I experienced that myself. But anyway, moving along, that's just one example. The actual water itself, like California beaches, the Pacific Ocean in general, is a lot more colder. The whole Pacific Ocean in general is a lot more cooler and very cold compared to Atlantic, which has more warmer temperatures, right? So that's another yin and yang. That's another opposite. Check out another opposite. Another opposite. California's oceans, aka the Pacific Ocean, has a lot more waves, so it's much more suitable for surfers. It has much more waves and much more broader and more stronger, bigger currents of waves. Whereas like you say, Florida or Atlantic in general, but especially Florida, they have waves. Don't get it twisted, but nowhere near as broad and as vast in the amount that the Pacific Ocean has. And that's fact because the Pacific Ocean is a lot much more. It's deeper, in general, but it's also more like rough by nature. You see what I'm saying? Another thing is hurricane. Let's talk about hurricanes, typhoons, right? What do you? I think they call typhoons on the Pacific. So you talk about California or the Pacific in general, right? Their typhoons, I think they go counterclockwise. I could be saying it wrong, but I know they go counterclockwise, like this way, right? They go in the direction of that coast, the opposite direction of that coast. Whereas on, like say, Florida or the hurricanes that are on the Atlantic that usually come on hurricane, they usually spin in the clockwise motion. You see what I'm saying? So that's another thing. You got the Atlantic hurricanes clockwise, the Pacific, their version of hurricane, which they call it like a cyclone or a typhoon or they go this way. Those hurricanes go this way. So I thought that was interesting too. I thought that was very interesting. It's some more too. Let me see if they can come to my head real quick while I was thinking about them, cause I ain't write them down, but I just thought that was so neat. Um, what was another one with California? Well, I guess you could say. like which kind of goes more so into when I say like the whole drier climate. Although this doesn't necessarily go for all of California, but for the most part, like in California in general, has a lot of like deserty like culture, deserty like terrain. Until like you start going like northern areas and then certain other areas too. But in general, it's a heavy influence of a desert terrain in California, whereas Florida is a very like humid tropical terrain. Okay, you just brought me to my other one that I thought of. Hold on, shout out Selvum Zone. Hello, which country? What country am I in? I'm in America, United States of America. Linda Potts, yo, what's going on? Good to see you here. Glad to see you here. Shout out to both of y'all. Hope y'all doing good. You can tell me how y'all day is in the comments. If you have any questions, let me know because I'll be sure to answer them. Um, you asked me what am I talking about? I'm talking about the differences, the the specific differences between the Pacific and the Atlantic. Specifically, I would say Florida and California, but it kind of I say it in general though. You see what I'm saying? The Pacific Ocean and then Atlantic. But my other one I was gonna say is this: in Florida, it rains like pretty much all the time. Like it rains a lot here. It rains a lot. Whereas this doesn't go for all the Pacific because Washington isn't necessarily like Washington, the state of Washington. They do get a lot of rain, but specifically since I did write down California, if you would compare California and Florida, you can see the direct difference with them too. Florida, it rains a lot. It's very humid and it rains a lot, right? California, it doesn't really. Southern California, let's be to be specific, doesn't really rain like that at all either. You see what I'm saying? Like it doesn't really rain a lot. Like you like San Diego, like Los Angeles, it don't really rain like that. Um, or at least nowhere near as much as like Florida, of course. You see what I'm saying? But I just thought that was neat because I still feel like even though they're like yin and yang, they're still similar. Because in order for something to be like yin and yang, they're kind of still similar in many different ways. Um, uh, like if I say Miami and I say Los Angeles, I feel like Miami and Los Angeles have a lot of stuff in similar now, but they're very different though. Like I said, LA, dry climate. Miami, extremely humid quiet climate. Um, I explained on everything with the beaches. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm kind of. I had some more ideas. I might be running out now. I did have some ideas, but I ain't write them down, so I don't really remember everything. I was trying to see if they can come back to me because I wouldn't intend this to be a long video anyway. But I just was talking about how unique I think that is. Like literally everything about them are like opposites. Like they're like opposites and like yin and yang. Like they the exact opposite in different directions, but the same stuff. It's just crazy. Dry, humid. Um, you know what I mean? Like all that kind of stuff like that. But shit, I'm trying to see if I can come up. What was another one? Cause it'll come to me. What's another? What was another one? Oh, give me 1 second. 1 second. Someone calling. Hold on. All right, I'm back. I'm done. So, but basically, like, I ain't gonna lie, I think that's pretty much it. I probably had some other ones, like I said, a few other ones, but I can't think of the top of my head now. Um, but yeah, it's just crazy how opposite in yin and yang they are. You know, I really thought that was interesting. So I felt the need, I felt the time to try to break that down. Um, I'm still. That's why I'm stalling right now. I'm stalling because I really was trying to see if there was any more that would come to my head. Uh, but pretty much that I guess you could say that's it. I'm about to close out. But like I said again, in and out, I will say it again. I thought that was very interesting. You know, you got a dry climate, you got a humid climate. You got both of them have certain storms, hurricanes, typhoons. One goes in one direction, the other goes in another direction. When we talk about the actual ocean that's next to them, they're opposite too. Atlantic is more warmer in nature. Pacific is much colder in nature. The Atlantic is much more has more calmer waters by nature. Pacific has a lot much more rougher waters by nature, and it's deeper too. That's another thing too. Um, so Atlantic has like they have waves, but they have like a certain amount of waves. Where Pacific they have way much more broader waves than the Atlantic. You see what I'm saying? Whether I don't matter if you talk about Hawaii or you talk about California, they both have more major waves than like you say Florida or the Atlantic in general. But you know everything differs from time to time. But other than that, y'all, I think I'm gonna go ahead and knock it out of the park. Appreciate y'all for being here. I hope y'all really understood what I was trying to say. It was just a short, little fun video, nothing serious. It's just something that I noticed. I'm pretty sure I had more thoughts, more ideas about it too, that I didn't write them down. But if I would have wrote them down, I probably would have probably just been like a few more. But I just thought that was interesting. I felt the need to talk about that. You know, like I said, nothing serious. It's a little video that I thought was unique and kind of fun and interesting. That I paid attention to the other day. I was like, wow, these it's like the opposite. You know, one's dry, like everything about them was like yin and yang. Everything was like the opposite. Um, but I just thought that was really cool. I thought I would break that down. But shout out to all y'all for that. It's here in the comment section in the chat and all that stuff. Feel free to hit me up in the chat or in the comment section if y'all got any questions. Um, if you need any videos you want me to do or anything you're interested in, you want more edification on or more knowledge and insight on, I will be surely to get back with you and be back, get that back to you. Um, and let me stop stalling. Let me get up out of here. But much love to y'all and peace.